Hey there, one last time, welcome back to Online Marketing Foundations. We're still in Module 4, Convert Your Audience to Buyers, and now we're on to the final lesson, Lesson 5, Build Your Funnel. This is where we're going to talk about how to put things together, how to kind of figure out, where you're going to make various offers or various pieces of the messaging, how you're going to fit it together, and kind of how you're going to think about and structure the journey that people will take to buy your product. That's what we're talking about. Let's dive in. As always, we're starting with a truth bomb. And the truth bomb really is this. If you need sales gimmicks to sell your product, there's something very wrong. And this I'm going to say to you, and you may not like hearing it, but it's the truth. If you have to rely upon generating FOMO or doing value stacking where you try to say that your product is or your offer is worth 10 times what they're going to pay, or you have to, use a bunch of, fake manufactured urgency and scarcity tactics to ever get people to buy. If you have to do that, you've done something wrong. And it's people are teaching it, and a lot of people are having to resort to it. And the reason why, candidly, is because they haven't done the commit and they haven't done the connect right. And so that then means that maybe the offer isn't quite right. And so you've got to kind of do these other things to really get people to buy. Or it could be a situation where you're simply trying to get more sales now, even though people aren't ready. And this is kind of, the hard truth time where I'm giving you this truth bomb. If you've done everything else up to this point, if you have really done the work of committing, of connecting, of building the right offer, and of coming up with the right messaging, this stuff's easy. And candidly, I don't want to say it doesn't matter, but it really doesn't matter. It doesn't matter kind of what it is and how you go about selling. It'll work because, again, I'm going to go back to that quote from Peter Drucker and the concept that Peter Drucker that we presented back in Module 1. If you do marketing right, all you have to do is make the offer and the product sells itself. And so that's what you should be striving for. So with that, though, let's kind of talk about what we're going to learn. Here you're going to learn kind of 3 categories of funnels. I'm going to be honest with you. There are so many different funnels. I could never name them all, but I kind of put them into 3 general categories. We're going to talk about how to deliver the conversion messaging in the different categories of funnels. And then we're going to talk about how mature businesses actually make sales and kind of help you understand what you should be shooting for and the kind of funnel you should be looking for, as your goal. So with that, let's talk about the 3 categories of sales funnels. Like I said, there are countless funnel types, but they tend to fall into kind of one of 3 general categories. Now, there may be some random stray ones that don't fall into one of these 3, but most of them will. The first category is launch, and launch funnels are centered around a limited cart open period and are used most often to sell things like courses and memberships. So this is something where, you basically say you can only buy this product during this, maybe sometimes it's 4 days, some people do a week, some people do 2 weeks, but you literally say you can only buy during this very limited time, and it's a specific set of dates on a calendar, like October 4th through 8th. And I'm randomly picking those for no particular reason. But that is the launch style of selling. And so you have funnels built around that. And again, this will most often be used to sell courses and memberships, but people could use it for things like, template packs and things like that. And the goal of this is to get people to attend a live launch event where the conversion will happen. Now, there's also a little bit of exception to this. You can do this with just email. Some people do. But generally, when you're talking about a launch, people are thinking about kind of an event, some kind of live event. And I don't mean in person, but kind of something happening in real time that will get people excited. Some examples, you have webinar funnels, challenge funnels, and video series funnels. So, hopefully you know what these are. Webinars, just kind of an hour to hour and 15 minute kind of training with a pitch involved. The challenge is normally 5 days where people are doing the work, and it's really about getting people to take ownership. That's what your challenge is, but it's happening in real time, and then you make an offer at the end. And then a video series is usually 3 parts, so you'll have 3 videos, but it can be broken up any different way. But the concept is that these are all happening generally in kind of real time, and then right after, either after the webinar, after the challenge, or after the video series, you open the cart and invite people to buy. So that's how these funnels generally work. The funnels would generally be broken into kind of a pre-launch and a launch phase. So there's kind of two parts, and the launch is basically once you're in that inviting people and getting them to buy, that's kind of the launch phase. The pre-launch period is filled with influence and inspiration content, followed by an invite to the launch. So the influence content we talked about and the inspiration content that we talked about in the last lesson, you're doing that in this pre-launch period. And then after people have heard that, then you invite them to participate in the launch, right? Whether it's a webinar, a challenge, or a video series. So kind of the invite is what moves you from the pre-launch into the launch phase. Then during the launch event, you inspire, encourage your audience to take ownership, create the gap, make the offer, obviously, and bust the objections. And this will happen at the event, but then, while the cart is open, while they can buy, people are really focused on that stuff, on busting objections, on getting people really to take action. So that's how you're going to set things up if you go with this route. Again, this is not a lesson where we're going to go deep into how do you specifically build a webinar funnel. That's way beyond kind of the point of this. I want you to get this as kind of a breaking point. You're having your pre-launch where you do the inspiration and the influence content. You invite them to the launch, and then in the launch is where you're doing more of the inspire. You continue that, then you encourage them to take ownership, and you create the gap and bust objections. So that is the launch model of funnel. The next kind of funnel is an evergreen funnel. And basically, evergreen funnels are kind of consistently running funnels that use automation to convert buyers. And these can be used for most kinds of products. You can use these pretty versatilely because there's all kinds of evergreen funnels out there. You can use them in a lot of different ways. Some of them are literally just automated versions of a launch funnel. So it's kind of stuff that's happening all the time. So instead of I think I said that in a launch funnel, let's say the cart is open from October 4th to October 8th. In an evergreen model, what happens is for each person, there's kind of a period that is, specific to them based on when they start the whole process. So you can do that, but you can do different things. So here are some examples of evergreen funnels. One of them is an automated webinar funnel. That really is when people are going to automate a traditional launch funnel. Normally it's a webinar because that is the most versatile kind of presentation training for sales purposes. Then you have what are called self-liquidating offer funnels. These are simple things where you're instead of inviting people into a freebie and then trying to get them to buy, what you'll do is you'll often, just have an ad straight to a low priced product. For example, we use that model, at least as I'm recording this, we do. We have ads that send people directly to a sales page to purchase my website policies pack. So it's the 3 legal policies you need for your website. It's $27. So we do an ad straight to that offer. Then if people buy that, we invite them, if they want to make bigger purchases of other packs of templates. So we do that. And that's just a way to kind of, serve people on a low-end product that people might be willing to buy and come into your world as a buyer can be valuable. So that's what a self-liquidating offer funnel is. Tripwire funnels are related, but slightly different. What they tend to be is they come in, or not what they tend to be. What they are is someone downloads a freebie of some sort, some kind of opt-in, gives you your email address, and you immediately invite them to make a low price purchase. So just like with my self-liquidating offer funnel, I also have something where people are invited to download my free privacy policy. And then if they do, then they're invited to make that $27 purchase. So it's kind of just a different way to get people in. Now, the purpose of both of those is just to bring people into your world. You're really not trying to make a bunch of money or do kind of active, heavy conversion at that point. So those tend to be a little bit different and not as big of a thing. But those are kind of some examples of evergreen funnels. They're just kind of running all in the background. You're not doing anything live. Now, the evergreen versions of launch funnels, like the webinar, for example, follow the same flow as live versions, but they're automated. So again, hopefully people have seen kind of your influence, seen your inspiration content, then they're invited to the webinar, the automated webinar, and you're doing kind of all the same things. It's just an automated thing rather than happening live. Now, self-liquidating offers and Tripwire funnels are about really getting small conversions to pay for leads. Your goal really is to get people onto your list, into your world, and pay for the ad costs. That really is your goal. You're not trying to make a lot of money with it, because if you're trying to make a lot of money selling $27 offers, it's going to be tough. So your goal, like I said, get them in, and then, by the way, you nurture them and you connect with them, and then the real money comes when they make a bigger purchase later. When after you've spent the time building the connection, doing the stuff that we're doing, they'll decide later, hey, I want to buy whatever it is from you. And so that's kind of that where you're going to make that money. And now some people will use these evergreen self-liquidating offer and Tripwire funnels to get people onto their list, and then later they'll invite them to a launch event. That's how some people would put it together. Now, the final type of funnel is what I'm calling an organic funnel. And really what this means is that they're not focused on short-term conversions, but focused instead on nurturing leads to buy when they are ready. And what I mean by that is there's no launch event. There's nothing like that. It's simply, we're going to get people into our world. We're going to serve the living heck out of them. We're going to nurture them. And then when they are ready, they'll know how we can help. They'll know how we can serve them, and they will purchase from us. What I'll say is these organic funnels don't rely on sales gimmicks or tactics at all. They're just built on serving over the long term. Because what you do is people come into your world, people see you serve, and eventually when they're ready, they will purchase. And organic funnels can be used to sell just about any kind of product. You can do this. People will be in your world and they get to know what you offer. And sometimes maybe they buy a course, or they buy a tool, or they buy, who knows what, they buy coaching. I've had people in my world buy just about every kind of product based upon me using this general kind of organic funnel model, where literally they're in my world, and then I'll simply put something out there to people and I'll say, hey, I have this available if anyone wants it, and people will take me up on it. So that's kind of the Peter Drucker, as we talked about from the beginning, where he basically says, I say, here's my stuff, do you want it? And they say, yes, I do. So that's what kind of your organic funnel is. They are built on goodwill that you create in the market and with your warm audience. So some of the benefit of these organic things is people just come to your world and just buy without you doing anything. They just hear about you, come into your world and buy. And then other things, it's literally just you connecting with your audience. And so over time, they buy. Now, I'm going to give you an example and get meta here. This program you're in, BOMU, is part of an organic funnel. It is about serving the heck out of entrepreneurs and letting them join coaching or other paid products when and if they are ready for it. So basically, you're here experiencing this. I am giving you a ton of value. I'm just serving you and giving you this to connect with you and to build this thing so that when you decide, if you ever do, that, hey, you want to work with a coach on helping to implement this stuff in your business, or I have VIP days. Maybe you decide you want to work with someone to come in and really kind of do the VIP work and help you just get stuff done. Or maybe you say, hey, I would love to come to a boot camp, and I know Bobby offers those. This program is all about that. And there's no tactic involved. There is no high pressure sales. There's no gimmicks. It's simply, I'm going to give you this. I'm going to create a ton of goodwill, and I'm going to believe and know that will mean that when and if you're ready to make a purchase, I'll be your guy. So I give you this as an example so you can see how kind of a long-term organic funnel could work. Now, with organic funnels, you reach your audience with all of your messaging themes over time. This is what gets kind of tough, right? Because in an organic funnels model, like, people aren't necessarily coming in. What you'll tend to do is, generally you will be having, like I said, you'll always be doing your influential, you'll be doing your inspiration content. Then you'll be giving all of your audience things that lets them take ownership at different points. Just, some people take you up on it, some people won't. This program is something about letting you take ownership, right? I'm giving you this information, and you can go and take action on it and start to see the results. So again, I'm kind of making it available and doing all of those things. You then kind of, the gap has to happen a bit more organically and through, kind of targeted things. When you just do promotions every once in a while and say, hey, if people are interested, I have this, here's some more information. And the people who are hearing your offers are people who are on your list, who are in your world, who've already kind of experienced some of these things. And so it happens naturally. What I'll tell you is organic funnels sell like magic. I joke about this all the time that it used to drive Katie, the number 2 on my team, it would drive her nuts because we would get sales where people would come out of nowhere. We couldn't track it. We couldn't track it back to anything, but we made money. Organic funnels work that way. And you have to be willing to kind of accept that about an organic funnel, that you can't say, well, I spent $10 on a lead and it did this. I can't track things back like that. And that's okay. I simply know that it's working over time. So those are the different kinds or categories of funnels. Now, here's what I'm going to tell you. Mature businesses use organic funnels. This is the thing I want you to get. And this is where I am very different than other people in the online space, where what I'm saying is very different. Notice, I'm not even talking about a debate between whether we're doing live launches or evergreen. I'm talking about kind of a broader concept that as your business matures, you need to be thinking about organic funnels. Using only launch or evergreen funnels that rely on scarcity and urgency is not the path to long-term success. Because here's the reality. The launch mentality is based on the selling concept of marketing to create demand that does not exist for the product. Now, when I say this, some people who are teaching launching get very mad at me. They say that's not true. But if you actually listen to why they're saying they do it, it's this. It's that, you've got to create FOMO. You've got to give people a reason to get off the couch and make a decision and all those things. And I simply say that's a sign that there might be a little bit of a mismatch, that the demand isn't quite there, that the offer isn't quite established, that the messaging isn't quite right. Because if you did all of those other things, you can sell just about anything without a launch. So my message is think twice about launching. Now, I'm not saying you never launch. People misconstrue what I say and think I'm saying you can never launch. I don't say that. First of all, when you create a new product, you're going to launch it just by nature. Because when you're creating something new, you have to launch it into the world. But what I'm saying is I want you to ask yourself, why is it that people outside of the online space don't use this model of saying you can only buy my product between October 4th and October 8th? I mean, let's be honest. If you walked into an Apple store and said, hey, I want to buy an iPhone, and they said, well, I'm sorry, sir, or I'm sorry, ma'am, we're not actually, selling that right now. And you're like, but I can see it right back there. You're like, yes, I know, but you'll have to come back in 3 months and you'll have this 1 week period in which we will allow you to buy our product. You would think they were nuts. And you'd be like, I don't want to do business with that person. It's a weird mentality. We in this space have gotten used to it, but I'm telling you, it's not normal. From a marketing perspective, it's not, because it's not, about kind of how you're thinking about this in the broad world. So there might be some situations where it makes sense if you, in fact, will be going through in a very rigorous way with people, kind of like school, like an actual university, right? Where they need to interact with you and have question and answer sessions. And you have concluded that the best way to do it is you to be like, crazy intense, let's say for a 3-month period of supporting them. I'm okay with it, right? Because at some level, you have to give yourself a break. But generally, I think the default to launching is a mistake. And my proof of that is if launching is so great, why is it that people outside the online space aren't using it? And no one has been able to give me an answer to that. So that's why I will die on this hill and I will make this argument to you. But more broadly, if you need a launch or scarcity-based evergreen funnel to sell, it's a sign that your offer isn't good enough. It's a sign that there's some kind of mismatch. And I'm just going to tell you, it's something wrong with your offer. And again, my proof, in the offline world, businesses don't launch and then refuse to sell products outside of launch periods. They just don't do it. It is unheard of. Instead, they focus on building a brand and creating products that their customers willingly buy. They are using organic funnels to sell their products. They're using this general sense of building up goodwill, of building up connection, of creating products that their people want, and the people know, hey, okay, Apple has an iPhone. When I want my new phone, I'm going to go and buy it. They're not going to try to force me to buy it right now. They're not going to do that because they know that when I am ready to buy, I will buy. And again, I want you to remember, marketing is customer centered. It's about what are the needs of the customer, not what are my needs of selling stuff right now. So again, that's what traditional businesses are using. So really the goal of every business should be for organic funnels to be their primary source of sales. Okay? That needs to be our goal. And that's going to make you weird. If you actually follow through on this and follow my advice, you are going to be one of the rebels, because this is not how most online marketers work, but it is the way that true marketers work. So, summing up, you have multiple options for selling, but your goal should be to make sales organically rather than only with sales gimmicks. Now, my last call to action to you, because this is the last lesson here in this course, build funnels that fit your products and strive to sell organically. I'll see you in the Facebook group if you have any questions, but I'm around, and I hope you've enjoyed this course on online marketing foundations.